The Norwegian trauma recovery protocol was a form of therapy that gained recognition for its success in helping women recover from emotional trauma, particularly from narcissistic abuse, emotional dependency, and complex PTSD. While it isn't officially called emotional fasting, the core principles of the method align very closely with Jesus' teachings of fasting, not from just food, but also from sin. See, the foundational idea was to stop feeding emotional dependency. Women were taught to cut off emotional supply to their abuser, no matter how triggering or tempting it was to respond, argue, justify, or seek validation. This emotional abstinence is essentially what I personally call emotional fasting, a conscious, repeated choice not to give in to toxic emotional patterns. Just as in fasting, you're not starving yourself, you're refusing to consume what is harming you. So victims were guided to rebuild their core identity. After years of being gaslit, manipulated, emotionally conditioned by their narcissistic abuser, these women had to rediscover who they were without the abuser's voice in their head. And this part of the protocol often included journaling from a place of truth rather than trauma, affirmations and declarations of personal worth, grounding in spiritual identity. For Christian women, this means embracing our identity in Christ, and Christian men as well. The Norwegian therapist emphasized interrupting automatic emotional reactions, and this was done through pattern disruption, similar to NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, visualization of alternative emotional responses, reframing, and practicing stillness in the face of triggers. This was very much like training the brain to fast from panic, fear, and over-explaining. Instead of emotionally engaging, the women were trained to stay internally detached, silent, and clear-minded. A key part of the recovery involved an initial 3 to 5 day period of strict emotional no contact. Not just externally, but internally. No ruminating, no fantasy or hope of change, no emotional bargaining. This brief but intense period often led to a break in the trauma bond. What they called an emotional reboot. After this point, most women actually reported a massive reduction in emotional pull and mental confusion. Women were then taught to anchor their emotions in something higher, whether that was their faith, their values, or vision of their healed future. For Christian women and men, this was the moment where we can anchor in Christ. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" the women began to ask, "Who am I becoming in Christ because of this?" In principle, the Norwegian recovery protocol was a structured form of emotional fasting, as Jesus himself talks about fasting not only from food, but also from sin. It involved choosing not to react, withholding emotional engagement, and redirecting emotional energy towards the truth, healing, and identity and purpose. Holding space for silence, surrender, and spiritual realignment allows emotional fasting through the Norwegian method. This allows a layer of Christian meaning that offers a placeholder of what resurrection actually feels like. When we are left emotionally destitute through Jesus, we are resurrected as we take a radical hardline approach to distract ourselves from participating in sinful thoughts and feelings. And after 3 days, you try this approach, you will see a radical shift in your awareness and in your healing. Like the women who implemented the Norwegian method as they transitioned from surviving to thriving. And you can do it too. All it takes is 3 days. Blessings.